Bulavinaka, welcome to Close Up. It's one of three basic needs and comes in many forms, but provides individuals and families cover from the elements. It's shelter, housing, a home. There are many challenges facing those wanting to own their very own home. When it comes to developing nations like ours, the stakes are even higher. In the quest to seek a better life, some have ended up in informal settlements which have sprung up in most urban areas here, in the Pacific and around the world. It's not easy getting out of these settlements, but it still can be done. Close to 200 families call G2A State Home. It's one of those settlements that has a notorious tag to it. Homes have mushroomed here, infrastructure development revealing the large number of informal settlers that now live here.
My name is Osiana Isau. I'm from Lutu, Naitasiri. I worked as a bouncer at various nightclubs in Suva. I don't work anymore, so I do little odd jobs to get us by.
This is home for Osea and his family. But the state of his house wasn't always this bad. He tells us that he and others were relocated to this spot to allow for the development works on the Langilangi project.
Initially, we were living on this side where we're having this interview. But we were told to move so PCN can start development works. They told us to form groups of 10 and save up towards a home. So up until today, we've done what they told us, and when the homes were built, the first 32 families will move in. What's left now is for them to clear out the remaining land here and construct homes for the rest of us. I've been saving up for almost 8 years now. Some give $5, some give $10, and some give $1. It's as long as you're putting aside money every day.
Just up the road lives 89-year-old Andivunga Lingaitukana. In a few days or weeks, she will soon move to the units for elderly people. She's known no other home apart from G2A State.
I've been living here since 1978, before my children started school. I was living on the other side of the road then, before shifting here. When I moved here, I paid my sister's children $20 a day to build this house. It took them 4 days to build it.
It's a life of struggles. While the challenges they face are not unique, the result is what you see here.
Every day, I look for food to put on the table. I plant vegetables and crops. My house was full, but I didn't care. I loved everyone in my home equally.
All of us face similar challenges. Times are hard and getting a job is not easy. So yeah, we face the same problems here.
Further up lives Ilisoni Sauturanga, 65 years old and also from Naitasiri. He's lived here for more than 20 years. He's been able to put his children through school and is now eagerly anticipating the move to one of the newly constructed 2-bedroom units.
Almost every day, my family asks me about what I'm doing. Sometimes they tell me I'm devoting too much time to collecting our group savings that I forget about saving. I told them I'm old and I'm doing this for a reason. Now they know why I'm so involved and are fussing about moving into our new flat. I'm grateful to God. All this is possible through Him.
While some have said that those living in such settlements have it easy, Their stories say otherwise.
My wife works for an expatriate family. I have 2 grandchildren in school and an elderly relative who lives with us. He collects plastic bottles to recycle. Just behind me you'll see 2 big white sacks that hold all the bottles he collects. All the adults in my family work, so when I was asked if I could pay for the new home, I told them I could. I was a carpenter before, but I work as a watchman now because I'm old. One of my children was on attachment at Parliament and Unit Trust. I am thankful we've got jobs and a home.
Many of those living in informal settlements like these are familiar with the People's Community Network of Fiji. For years, they've engaged those in such settlements and have found out more about their predicament. So they conducted workshops and found out 3 things that many of them worry about quite often: land security, proper housing, and education.
So it was only 2 years down the road that we secure land from the Ministry of Lands. We had a development plan of development lease for the part of G2A State, which is the Langi area, and that's where we started off. So I think this we see these houses here. It's part of a people participatory process that the people are started from the beginning, from the design of the project, right to where it is right now. So people will take onto their hands about the ownership of the project. It is theirs, and they've been helped by the government, overseas donor agencies, and also from themselves. So it's even though it's participatory, it's also empowering in letting them to pay for what they have right here.
That's how the Langi project was born. It hasn't been easy, but the group from PCN have been quite persistent. They've identified factors that have pushed people to informal settlements like these.
I think there are different issues that are faced by the settlers, and we believe one of the major challenges is the low income earning brackets in the informal settlers. And I think you can see the type of houses that are being built. You can see the buying power of the informal settlers. And these are, imagine in the last few years, the rise of food costs and building costs and all these other costs that has made it very difficult for them.
But it's not just about giving them handouts. In fact, this project is a collective effort aimed largely at empowering those living here at G2A State.
As part of their contribution towards the project is they need to have a savings scheme. So a savings scheme was set up. I believe when we started off the first year with about $25 or so. Then the second year it goes up to about $2,000 to $3,000, and then it goes. Some people are coming to realize, oh my goodness, we can make a change. They start to see that the savings start to go up, and even some of these people have saved up to $5,000 to $6,000 because they believe they can make a change for their current situation to a better situation. From a squatter to perhaps to a more secure tenure. Because right now here people are no more squatting. For this part of Langi, people have secure land tenure.
Some have saved up to $600, some $500. Those working on a casual basis have saved up to $300. Then there are those who are not working. They give whatever they can to their savings account. $2 or $5. We had hopes as a family to have a home, and whatever initiative came along, we try and join in and save up.
The first 32 families have been given the key to their homes.
For most of them, it seems like Christmas has come early.
I'm so happy. I relied on God. I knew He would help me out. I lived in a house I didn't really like, but I kept pushing on because of my children and my grandchildren.
The PCN's initiative to improve the standard of living of informal settlers has caught government's attention. Allocations were made specifically in the 2013 and 2014 national budgets to address the ever-increasing informal settlements. Next year's funding for squatter projects has increased.
A total of $5 million has been provided for various squatter projects. Out of this amount, $3 million is for the completion of the remaining work of Phase 1 at Langi Langi or G2A State and the commencement of Phase 2. The remaining $2 million is for squatter projects in other areas around the country. Through this funding, we expect more than 2,260 households to benefit from improved standards of living.
But it doesn't just end there. The government's efforts to improve housing for Fijians will spread to similar settlements all around the country.
In 2014, we will launch the citywide squatter upgrading project, which will involve the upgrading of squatter settlements in the urban and peri-urban areas that lie within the Suwa-Nosori corridor, Nandi, the Lutoka corridor, Lambasa, and Sau-Sau. This project caters for incremental upgrading and will be implemented in partnership with the People's Community Network. A budget of $500,000 has been allocated for this program. Similarly, $1 million is allocated for the town-wide informal settlement upgrading project for the upgrading of informal settlements of Itoke land along the Lami, Suwa, Nosori corridor. This includes Ngawia in Andonuma in Lami town, Kalsa Road in Nasinu town, Cunningham Road, and Wendrandra in Nosori town. The project will ensure that squatter dwellers have access to basic services such as water, sewer, and electricity and roads.
The first lot moving into these flats have been selected based on their consistency in terms of savings. That's one way the PCN has been able to gauge whether they will be able to handle paying off their new homes.
We are being thankful for further funding to squatter development provided by the present budget, 2014 budget, and we believe that once you have the political will to change things, I'm sure things will change. And also on our squatter upgrades and development, if there is no participation from the people, then it will not be sustainable as it can be. We believe that participation will bring about sustainability to all the projects or any projects.
It was a long, hard road in many ways, and really started, we really started about 2005, I suppose, or 2003 with the workshops. But then by the time we got involved with the project, about 2005, one of the interesting things was that the current Prime Minister, we were then working with ECRIA, and he sent some of his officers to find out who was working in squatter settlements. And so they found out that we were doing a lot of work in squatter settlements. So the Prime Minister invited us to come to his office and discuss things. And we talked about the need for a housing project, which he was very keen on. And so we talked about that, and he said, please go and see the Minister of Finance, who was Mr. Chowdhury at the time, and tell him that I backed the project. So Mr. Chowdhury was also very supportive, and one of the things he said, we want quality buildings, so don't put up any slipshod old buildings, we want good quality buildings. So we kept that in mind, so with the support of the Prime Minister and the current Minister and the Minister of Finance, we were assured of government assistance. We also spoke to a German Catholic agency called Miserior, and they also provided us with about 1.2 million for the project. So they were the two main funding agencies. We got a little bit of assistance from some local business people, but that was a bit disappointing because we tried many letters to get more support. But hopefully now that people are seeing something happen, they might come good. We also had a little bit of assistance from an organisation in Thailand with which we were in contact, the Asian Coalition on Housing Rights, and they also provided some funding for us. And of course then there's people's savings. So there was a new model insofar as it brought together different avenues of funding, particularly government, but overseas donors, local donors, and the people themselves. There are 3-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units, and also 5 2-bedroom units just for the elderly and disabled. The 2-bedroom units we're asking people to pay roughly about half the cost of the unit. So for the 2-bedroom units, we're asking people to pay 24,000, and for the 3-bedroom units, about 30,000. But that will be over a period of 12 years. So we tried to keep the cost low, subsidise it, and that was also in accordance with the Prime Minister's wishes. So we tried to subsidise it, but also we're asking people to pay over a period of 12 years. And for the first 6 years, no interest. After the first 6 years, then there will be 4% interest. But really we're encouraging people to pay as soon as possible. And we're very happy to know that some people have housing eligibility from their FNPF, and that helps a lot, and they've got the savings that they've made. So some of them are off to a good start. But they let the people be involved. So the architects, for example, showed the plans to the people and asked for people's comments, and made a few changes in accordance with people's comments. And then also we asked people to provide sweat equity. So there were a number of people in the community who had done courses in carpentry or block laying or so on. So when we had Fortec Construction to do the job for us, we asked that they take in people from the community to work with them. And it was a big ask in many ways, but they took in 16 young people from the community, and later on 6 of those became permanent workers with Fortec, and the others are still in use when needed. But it meant that their skills were upgraded, and it gave them further opportunities for employment. The women also were involved in designing the kitchens for the homes, and I think they took great pride in that. So the women's involvement was very important, and I think they felt part of it, you know. So, and then of course when we had celebrations on various occasions, the people join in and prepare things for the celebration, do a little bit of cooking and so on. So it very much involves the community all the way along. And of course one of the very important parts is their own saving, because we said, okay, where does the money come from? Well, we'll tap into government, we'll ask government for their assistance, we'll also ask overseas agencies, local people if they can assist us, but you've got to start saving, and saving consistently, even if it's just $1 a week. And so the saving scheme has been very much part of the participation of the people in the project. I think things are on the roll now, and particularly with evidence of government funding and government interest, we think things will really keep rolling, and we hope to attract also some other funding from outside to assist us. But we want to finish Langi Langi, phase 1 and phase 2, and that will provide about 143 houses, home units, and also a community centre, kindergarten, small market, taxi stands. And we've been stressing from the start to the women that don't just want to build houses, we want to build a community. So we hope that all the people there in the community will not just be thinking of themselves, but working together for the good of the community. And the 5 houses that were set aside for the elderly and disabled, we hope that the people in the community will help to look after the elderly and disabled. And one of the houses recently, we were asked by the Minister for Health to set aside one on a temporary basis as a health clinic. So we're very happy to do that, because that will mean increased health benefits to the people in the whole surrounding area. So we're very grateful for the opportunities, and I should mention too that we've had a lot of good consultants working with us. Most of them not charging us their full fees, so there's been a lot of generosity. We've had Mrs. Jackie Hughes from Scope, Warren Yee from Irwin Alsop, we've had James Rahman from Shiri Singh, and our architects have been AAPI Designs, Peter Rankin and Liesa, and a few other consultants. But they've been very generous with their time, and we're most grateful, because we couldn't do without them.
That's Close Up. For comments or questions, you can email us closeup@fijitv.com.fj. To our viewers here in Fiji and across the Pacific, thank you for joining us. Goodbye.